Now to developing news, a case of coronavirus has traveled from China to Western Washington.
Coronavirus outbreak, coronavirus crisis, and coronavirus. Virus coronavirus. We will meet again.
So today, I aim to raise an argument, which is how has raising your voice through protesting changed during the recent pandemic? But before I do so, let's look at the protests before the pandemic. We went from this to this. So what changed? Was it the masks, or have people actually taken precautions? Even before the protests began, there were already confirmed coronavirus cases as it was increasing in many parts of the United States. Although the United States did achieve a somewhat lockdown experience, the rest of the world was on full lockdown all throughout March. Their current president at the time, Donald Trump, had this to say all through March.
Be calm. It'll go away. It will go away. Just stay calm. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. It will go away. You know it is going away. It's going to go away, hopefully at the end of the month. And if not, it hopefully will be soon after that.
The close proximity of protesters creates obvious concerns, especially from an infectious disease standpoint. Demonstrators exert themselves as they march, shout, and push against barricades. Mass gatherings like this are a nightmare from a public health perspective. The global coronavirus pandemic and America's struggle with racist policing looked like separate crises at first, but that might not have been the case, as people chose to protest in the midst of a global pandemic. The protests do cause a surge in infections. It will likely be centered in the very communities that are now demanding that their lives be valued equally by the state. As the pandemic became apparent in the United States, protests began increasing in mid-March. Although the protests started in 2013, its popularity grew in 2020 after George Floyd's killing. It is predicted to be the largest mass protest in the United States. African Americans have been protesting since the 1960s with the civil rights movement. They have been using their voices for decades. The Black Lives Matter movement showed that there is still more room for progress. This was not limited to African Americans, but to anyone who was aggravated by this topic. According to the New York Times, unlike with past Black Lives Matter protests, nearly 95% of counties that had protests recently are majority white. Protesting was not limited to just people walking on the streets, but murals being painted across the nation. People find different ways to communicate their voice. The pandemic has led some activists in getting creative in finding ways of protesting without the need for social contact. Campaigners have moved more of their focus online, where they found that it was easier to mobilize support. For example, there was a BLM protest in Animal Crossing, as well as another protest in Sims.
Allowed Simmers across the world, so we're talking Korea, Germany, the UK, the United States, Japan, Brazil, Portugal, to use their creativity as well as their voices to stand together against racism of all forms and police brutality.
The common theme among all the courses I took was the concept of voice. I became more aware of the constant battle between those in power and the unheard trying to shine through. But there were also a couple of sub-themes that appeared, which are transformation and adaptation. To me, transformation is a process of changing. It can be both a positive or a negative change, but I believe adaptation can be understood in many different situations, as it is something or someone that can change their physical or mental characteristic into the environment they are surrounded by. Having a voice is not always considered a negative thing. Many people tend to voice their opinion through unique ways, whether it be art or having protests on busy street. Everyone wants to be heard. Some tend to speak louder when they are not being heard. Those who wish to speak up also wish to have an effect on society, as they raise their voice, transform themselves, and adapt to a rapidly growing society around them. The courses in both NUQ and Georgetown have been an eye-opening lesson as I grasped the idea of both media and politics and how each of them are influenced by one another. It gave me an opportunity to understand various concepts of media as well as politics. It also emphasized the importance of voice not just within a community but within an individual. Without the people, there wouldn't be media. Without the people, there also wouldn't be a successful political life for a politician. Apart from this, the minor also helped me grasp the importance of understanding not just my own major, but others, by making me develop a strong relationship with politics as well as gain new interests. Voice should not be affected by politics nor the media. People should not be restrained from what they have to say, but rather express themselves freely.